So initially I made a video about the mistakes I made, but then I realized that this mistake that I should have shared in the first video was more important than the other mistakes I mentioned in the first video I made. I decided to switch them. So I'm going to make this one first and I'll post the next one as a part 2. But this mistake to me is more important than the rest of them. So I've already made the video, so it's going to cut over to that video now. Another mistake I felt like I made with Neville's work is that I put too much focus on the thing itself rather than me in the state I need to be in. So for example, or let's just say like Neville once said that one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they focus on things rather than the state of consciousness they need to be in. Now, a state of consciousness is not just thinking about or contemplating on abstract ideas or concepts. It's also a way in which we are. It's who we're being as well. So a state of consciousness, when Neville uses that term, you can kind of define it as what I am. The state of consciousness is what I am being, I should say. So in this case, let's say I wanted friends, right? The thing that I want is friends. What happens is that we focus too much on the friends and how they're going to be and what they're going to do this and if they're going to go like that and where we're going to hang out and all of that stuff. It's, again, that's too much focus on the thing itself. You should focus on you. So the best way to become, or the best way to get a friend is to become one. So we must become and embody the state of the thing we want. Instead of focus, it's like focusing on, it's like focusing on the thing and trying to perfect it rather than who would be the person that would have that. If you had that, wouldn't you be a friend? If you had friends, wouldn't you be one? Right? Wouldn't you be a good friend? So tonight you fall asleep as a good friend and you'll get one. You'll get a friend. Because you have to express what you're embodying. You have to express what you are. Do you see how that changes and shifts? Instead of focusing on the thing itself, you are now focusing on you being different. Remember, self is the key. And self is within. So I don't need to go outside of myself to change myself. I don't need to go to a priest. I don't need to go to some holy person or a wise person. I don't need to go to anyone because self is within and that's where I change it. And it's always going to be that way. So the mistake I made was I was focusing too much for a large portion of this. I was focusing too much on imagine a scene, right? Let's say you imagine a scene and you're focusing on the little details of the scene, but you're not really focusing on what the scene implies about you. And do you accept that change within you? So the scene is there to really have information implied about you. Without the focus of you, you never really change self. You're just rearranging furniture, right? You're not really moving anywhere. It's just like a treadmill in the mind. You're just on a mental treadmill. You're not moving. It looks like you're moving. It looks like you're adjusting stuff, thinking about what kind of friend they are and you're going to do this and do that. But the true change is when you move into the state of being that, right? If you had friends, you would be one. So start being that, start being a friend. That's how you shift it. And that's how you move self. So that's just, to me, that's a really crucial mistake. That's a really, really crucial mistake. And I thought it's deceiving too, because it seems like you are doing something. It seems like you're imagining successfully. But the way I've kind of heard it from Neville is that if you imagine and you come out of imagining and you still see yourself the same way, then you didn't really do anything. You dreamt in vain. Your dream didn't really produce any change in you, right? It says to not use the Lord's name in vain, and the Lord's name is I am. So don't use this name in vain. You get taught that growing up in religious circles, and it's usually don't say this phrase or don't say, oh my God. That's not the name. The name is a creative power, and it has to do with me. It has to do with self. And it's a name that has the power to dream. And I can dream myself into being things. But if I use it in vain, I never really move, or I'm just, as Neville said, the biggest mistake he saw people make was focusing on things rather than themselves, really. It's another way of saying it. They're changing themselves. They're trying to change everything around them but themselves. So you change yourself in who you would be if you had that thing. So like I had somebody come to me on a one-on-one. They said, I want more students in my classroom. I don't know what they were teaching, but they said, I want more students. And I said, well, if you had more students, what would that mean about you? If you had I'm sure it's a personal feeling, but what would that mean if you had that? How would that feel if you had it about you? He says, well, then I would feel like a good teacher. I'd feel like a good teacher. I feel like I would be, successful in teaching. I said, then you fall asleep tonight as a successful teacher and the students will come. If that's what you said, right? So he goes, but the issue I was having was I was focusing on like, how are the students going to get to me? Where am I going to get these students and things like that? And that's the opposite. You need to flip it, right? If you flip it and focus on you, you can change you. You're right. It becomes too much pressure trying to change every single student to like you or to listen to you or to respect you. It becomes way too much work, right? So how do we get around this issue? You get around it by focusing on you, not the thing. It's like when someone told me, I can't stand my job. I do 16 hours of emails. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm in a prison. And I told them that you start feeling free. And it seems counterintuitive, but that's what you do. You are in a prison, then you see yourself as free. And you will eventually leave this prison because a free person can't be in a prison. Right? You see how lovely it all works out when you see it this way? But when you see it the other way, you start banging on the walls physically. You think you're going to get out by breaking your computer, right? That's not going to do it. You think that if you tell someone off and get angry, that's not going to do it. It might even put you in a worse position, right? So you don't do it. You think about the consequences, right? You try to figure it all out. How do I get out of this prison? How do I get out of it without doing anything I'm ashamed of? I don't need to harm anybody. I don't need to do it. How do I get out of here without compromising morals, without doing anything? How do I do it? Well, I make myself free. That's how I do it. That's what Neville would say. You make yourself free. And even if you only feel it for moments of a time, the more you feel freedom in an imprisonment, you're breaking a bar each time. You're breaking a link in the chain around your wrist mentally. Every time you feel after freedom, you're breaking free from the physical environment you're in. Because it's who we change. It's when we change within, do we change without. It says to clean the inside of the cup, that the outside may also be clean. As it says in Scripture. So I don't really need to clean up my outside. It looks like that happens as a consequence of cleaning up the inside. I take care of what I'm doing within myself by imagining myself as I want to be. And the outside will be taken care of. Again, in that case, fall asleep as a great teacher, your students will come. And this doesn't apply to just one thing. It applies to it applies to many things. And again, I learned this from Neville. I didn't understand it at first, but he said it himself that you have to become and embody the thing you want in the world. You have to become a friend if you want one. But I'm going to post part 2 soon. Just more mistakes I made with actually applying it. This was more, I viewed it wrong. I had the wrong idea when it came to applying Neville. The next part will be more about when you actually do apply it, what kind of resistance and problems can come up from applying it. But that's all I have for this one. Again, if you're interested in my books or one-on-ones, just go to the description. It's all there. And yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next part.